The exotic pet market on Nexus Station buzzed with activity. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved from stall to stall, examining creatures locked in cages. The air smelled of strange foods and cleaning chemicals. Tai-Ho walked slowly through the market. His 4 eyes blinked at different times as he looked at the pets for sale. Nothing excited him. He had seen it all before. Another boring day, he said to himself. His blue skin shimmered under the market lights. The rings on his fingers showed everyone that he was rich. Very rich. Tai-Ho was tired of the same old things. He owned the best house, the fastest ship, and the rarest treasures. But his friends were no longer impressed. He needed something new, something no one else had. "Sir, sir," a seller called out, "come see my special collection." Tai-Ho almost ignored him. These sellers always claimed to have special things, but something in the seller's voice made him stop and turn. "What do you have that I haven't seen before?" Tai-Ho asked. The seller smiled, showing 3 rows of yellow teeth. "A new species, sir, just brought in. Very rare, very intelligent." Tai-Ho followed the seller to the back of his shop. There, in a reinforced cage, sat a creature Tai-Ho had never seen before. It had only 2 eyes and no scales. Its skin was a pale tan color. It sat on 2 legs with 2 arms crossed over its chest. Most strange of all, it wore artificial coverings over most of its body. "What is it?" Tai-Ho asked, moving closer. "The traders call it a human, from a distant world called Earth. Very hard to get." The seller lowered his voice. "The galactic hegemony doesn't officially allow their trade, but for the right price." Tai-Ho studied the human. It was male, according to the seller. He looked strong but not too big. His dark hair was cut short, and his face showed no emotion. "Does it do tricks?" Tai-Ho asked. "Oh yes, they can learn to speak, carry things, even solve simple problems. Very smart for animals. This one is called Dal." When the seller said the name, the human's eyes moved. Those eyes caught Tai-Ho's attention. They weren't the dull eyes of an animal. They looked aware. The human was watching him, studying him. "I don't know," said Tai-Ho. "It looks troublesome." "It's very well behaved," the seller insisted. "Previous owner trained it well. Some say humans can be difficult, but not this one. Perfect pet for someone of your status." Tai-Ho imagined showing this strange creature to his business rivals. Their jealousy would be delicious. "How much?" he asked. The price was high, very high. But Tai-Ho didn't become wealthy by accident. He bargained hard, and in the end, he paid only twice what a luxury vehicle would cost. "You won't regret it, sir," the seller said as he transferred the ownership chip to Tai-Ho. "Just remember to keep the control collar activated. Safety first." Tai-Ho nodded and looked at his new pet. "Come, Al. Time to go home." The human stood smoothly and followed Tai-Ho out of the shop. He moved with a strange grace that Tai-Ho hadn't expected. As they walked through the security gates of the market, Tai-Ho focused on the exit. He didn't notice how carefully Dal watched the guards. He didn't see how Dal's eyes tracked the movement of their weapons. He missed how the human observed the security code that Tai-Ho entered into his ship's door. Most importantly, Tai-Ho didn't notice the small smile that appeared on Dal's face for just a moment before disappearing again. As the ship lifted off from Nexus Station, Tai-Ho felt pleased with himself. He had found something truly unique. A conversation piece, a status symbol. He had no idea that he had just purchased the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. The exotic pet market on Nexus Station buzzed with activity. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved from stall to stall, examining creatures locked in cages. The air smelled of strange foods and cleaning chemicals. Tai-Ho walked slowly through the market. His 4 eyes blinked at different times as he looked at the pets for sale. Nothing excited him. He had seen it all before. Another boring day, he said to himself. His blue skin shimmered under the market lights. The rings on his fingers showed everyone that he was rich. Very rich. Tai-ho was tired of the same old things. He owned the best house, the fastest ship, and the rarest treasures. But his friends were no longer impressed. He needed something new, something no one else had. "Sir, sir," a seller called out, "come see my special collection." Tai-ho almost ignored him. These sellers always claimed to have special things, but something in the seller's voice made him stop and turn. "What do you have that I haven't seen before?" Tai-ho asked. The seller smiled, showing 3 rows of yellow teeth. "A new species, sir, just brought in. Very rare, very intelligent." Tai-ho followed the seller to the back of his shop. There, in a reinforced cage, sat a creature Tai-ho had never seen before. It had only 2 eyes and no scales. Its skin was a pale tan color. It sat on 2 legs with 2 arms crossed over its chest. Most strange of all, it wore artificial coverings over most of its body. "What is it?" Tai-ho asked, moving closer. "The traders call it a human, from a distant world called Earth. Very hard to get." The seller lowered his voice. "The galactic hegemony doesn't officially allow their trade, but for the right price." Tai-ho studied the human. It was male, according to the seller. He looked strong but not too big. His dark hair was cut short, and his face showed no emotion. "Does it do tricks?" Tai-ho asked. "Oh yes, they can learn to speak, carry things, even solve simple problems. Very smart for animals. This one is called Dal." When the seller said the name, the human's eyes moved. Those eyes caught Tai-ho's attention. They weren't the dull eyes of an animal. They looked aware. The human was watching him, studying him. "I don't know," said Tai-ho. "It looks troublesome." "It's very well behaved," the seller insisted. "Previous owner trained it well. Some say humans can be difficult, but not this one. Perfect pet for someone of your status." Tai-ho imagined showing this strange creature to his business rivals. Their jealousy would be delicious. "How much?" he asked. The price was high, very high. But Tai-ho didn't become wealthy by accident. He bargained hard, and in the end, he paid only twice what a luxury vehicle would cost. "You won't regret it, sir," the seller said as he transferred the ownership chip to Tai-ho. "Just remember to keep the control collar activated. Safety first." Tai-ho nodded and looked at his new pet. "Come, Dell. Time to go home." The human stood smoothly and followed Tai-ho out of the shop. He moved with a strange grace that Tai-ho hadn't expected. As they walked through the security gates of the market, Tai-ho focused on the exit. He didn't notice how carefully Dal watched the guards. He didn't see how Dal's eyes tracked the movement of their weapons. He missed how the human observed the security code that Tai-ho entered into his ship's door. Most importantly, Tai-ho didn't notice the small smile that appeared on Dal's face for just a moment before disappearing again. As the ship lifted off from Nexus Station, Tai-ho felt pleased with himself. He had found something truly unique. A conversation piece, a status symbol. He had no idea that he had just purchased the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. Tai-ho and Dal sat in the library. The morning light came through the big windows. Tai-ho had not slept. He had many questions. "What are you really?" Tai-ho asked. His voice was quiet. He didn't want the house staff to hear. "I am human," Dal said, "but humans are not what you think. The seller told me humans were pets, smart animals." Dal's face hardened. "We are not animals. We are not pets. My people have built cities, traveled space, and fought wars for thousands of years. But the galactic hegemony," Tai-ho began. "Lied," Dal finished. "Humans weren't conquered. We were quarantined, isolated. The hegemony found Earth 100 years ago and decided we were too dangerous to join the galactic community." Tai-ho's 4 eyes blinked in different patterns, showing his confusion. "Dangerous. Your world has simple technology. No space travel beyond your own star system. It's not our technology that scared them, Dal said. It's our nature. Dal stood up and walked to a decorative metal bowl on a shelf. He picked it up, studied it for a moment, then set it down. Your people, the Doraxians, are peaceful traders. You evolved without major predators. You never had to fight to survive. We are civilized, Taiho said proudly. You are, Dal agreed. But humans evolved as both prey and predator. We had to be smart, adaptable, and sometimes violent to survive. Dal picked up a pen from the desk. In one quick movement, he took it apart. He bent a metal piece, broke off a plastic part, and combined them in a new way. Look, he said, showing Taiho what he had made. It was a small but sharp weapon. Taiho moved back in his chair. You made that from a pen. Humans can make weapons from almost anything. We see possibilities others don't. Dal put the makeshift weapon down. The hegemony didn't want humans joining the galactic community because they feared what we might do. But some traders found Earth anyway. They saw a chance to make money by selling exotic pets. Taiho felt cold. So humans are being sold as pets across the galaxy. But you're actually intelligent beings who want freedom, Dal said. Some of us have a bigger plan. What plan? That depends on you, Dal said. I can be your loyal pet who does tricks to impress your friends, or I can be your ally. Ally? Taiho repeated the word slowly. Yes, you have problems. Jinsu is taking your business. Your trading group is losing power. I can help you fix these problems. How? Humans are good at strategy. Good at finding weaknesses. Good at, Dal paused, hunting. And what do you want in return? Taiho asked. He was a businessman. He understood deals. Better treatment. No shock collar. Access to information systems. And knowledge about other humans who were sold as pets. Taiho thought about it. Having Dal as an ally could be useful, but it could also be dangerous. How do I know I can trust you? Taiho asked. You don't, Dal said honestly. But consider this. If I wanted to hurt you, I could have done it last night when you found me in the library. Taiho remembered how easily Dal had made a weapon from a pen. How easily he had bypassed the collar controls. It was true. Dal could have attacked him. One more thing, Dal added. If you agree to work with me, you must understand that I am not your property. I am your partner. Taiho had never considered a non-Doraxian as an equal. It went against everything he had been taught, but he was also a practical businessman. If Dal could help him defeat Jinsu, maybe it was worth trying. I agree to your terms, Taiho said finally. We will be partners. Dal smiled. Good. Now, let me tell you about Jinsu's weaknesses. 3 days had passed since Taiho and Dal made their deal. Taiho sat in his office, looking at numbers on a screen. The numbers were bad. Jinsu had taken another trade contract from him. He must have inside information, Taiho said, his blue skin darkening with anger. This is the 3rd deal he has stolen this month. Dal stood by the window, watching the city below. He no longer wore the shock collar. Instead, he wore clean clothes that Taiho had given him. He looked more like an assistant than a pet now. Your security is not good, Dal said. Jinsu could easily have spies in your house or your business. Taiho's eyes widened. You think someone is giving him information? Almost certainly, Dal nodded. But that is not important now. What matters is what we do about it. What can we do? Jinsu has better connections. He knows more important people. Dal turned from the window. We fight back. Not how a Doraxian would fight. How a human would fight. What do you mean? Taiho asked. Jinsu has been hurting your business. Now we hurt his. Dal walked to a map on the wall. Show me where Jinsu lives. Taiho pointed to a large house in the richest part of the city. There, but it has strong security. Guards, cameras, alarms. Dal smiled. No security is perfect. I need to get inside. Impossible. Taiho said. You would be caught and killed. Then I would be arrested for letting my pet run free. I won't be caught, Dal said calmly. I need a few things first. Dark clothes, small tools, and information about Jin Su's daily schedule. Taiho was scared, but also curious. What could this human do that his lawyers and business advisors could not? That night, Taiho watched as Dal prepared. The human covered his face with dark paint. He put on black clothes that would blend with the shadows. He packed a small bag with tools that Taiho had found for him. This is dangerous, Taiho said again. Life is dangerous, Dal replied. I'll be back before morning. Dal slipped out through the garden and disappeared into the night. Taiho stayed awake, watching the time pass slowly. What if Dal never came back? What if he was running away right now? But as the first light of dawn appeared, Dal returned. He looked tired but pleased. Did you get caught? Taiho asked quickly. Of course not. Dal took a small device from his pocket, and I found what we need. The device was a data crystal. Dal plugged it into Taiho's computer. The screen filled with information, shipping records, payment details, and private messages. What is this? Taiho asked, looking at the files. Evidence, Dal said. Jin Su has been trading with the HFY Collective. Taiho gasped. The HFY were dangerous criminals. Trading with them was strictly forbidden. How did you get this? Taiho asked. I watched his house for hours, found a way past the outer sensors, climbed a wall that the guards didn't check often. Then I found his private office and copied his files. Dal made it sound simple, but Taiho knew it was not. What do we do with this information? Taiho asked. You send Jin Su a message. Tell him you know about his illegal trading. Tell him to stay away from your business contracts, or you will share this evidence with the authorities. Taiho nodded slowly. This was not how Diraxians usually did business. They used legal contracts and formal complaints. This was more direct, more dangerous, but also more effective. The next day, Jin Su announced he was withdrawing from several market areas, the same ones where he had been competing with Taiho. Taiho looked at Dal with new respect. The human had done in one night what Taiho could not do in months of business meetings. You are more valuable than I realized, Taiho said. Dal nodded. This is just the beginning. 2 weeks passed. Taiho's business was doing better than ever. With Jin Su staying away from his markets, Taiho won 3 big trade contracts. Money was flowing in again. Taiho began to trust Dal more. He gave the human his own room with a real bed and good food. He even let Dal sit with him during business meetings, pretending Dal was taking notes. But their success drew attention. One morning, a message arrived from Han Jae, the regional governor. It was an invitation to a special dinner at the governor's mansion. This is unusual, Taiho said, reading the message. Han Jae rarely invites traders like me to his home. Dal looked at the invitation. Be careful. Sudden interest from powerful people can be dangerous. I must go, Taiho said. No one refuses the governor. Then I will come with you, Dal said. Taiho shook his head. No, it would look strange to bring a pet to such an important event. I'm not your pet, Dal reminded him. I know, Taiho said quickly, but others still think you are. It's safer if they believe that. That evening, Taiho went to the governor's mansion alone. The great house was filled with important Diraxians, business leaders, government officials, and wealthy families. Governor Han Jae greeted Taiho with false warmth. Ah, the trader whose fortunes have suddenly improved. Welcome. Thank you for the invitation, Governor, Taiho said politely. I've been hearing interesting things about you, Han Jae said, and about your unusual pet. Taiho felt a chill. My pet? He's just a novelty. Nothing special. Is that so? Han Jae led Taiho to a group of Diraxians. These people would disagree. In the group was a scientist named Yi-Jun. He wore the special clothes of a xenobiologist, someone who studied alien life. Taho, Yi-Jun said, I understand you owe me human. Yes, Taho admitted. I bought him at Nexus Station. Fascinating creatures, Yi-Jun said. My research suggests they're more than simple pets. Another Daraxian spoke up. My human pet fixed my broken air vehicle last month. No one taught it how. Mine learned our language in just 2 weeks, said another. Governor Hanjae watched Taiho closely. There have been incidents. Pets showing unusual behavior, some even escaping. I don't understand, Taiho said carefully. What does this have to do with me? Yi-Jun stepped closer. We believe humans are more dangerous than we thought. They may be an infiltration force, not a conquered species. That's ridiculous, Taiho laughed, but his skin darkened with worry. They're just clever animals. Are they? Governor Hanjae asked. Your business improved dramatically after you got your human. Just a coincidence. Taiho felt trapped. They suspected something, but they had no proof. Not yet. My human is well behaved, Taiho said. He sits in his cage and does simple tricks. Nothing more. The conversation moved to other topics, but Taiho knew he was being watched. When he finally left the mansion, he hurried home. Dal was waiting. How was the dinner? Bad, Taiho said. They're suspicious of humans. The governor, a scientist named Yi-Jun, all of them. Dal's face grew serious. What did they say? That humans might be an infiltration force. That you're more dangerous than we thought. And what did you tell them? I said you were just a pet. That you sit in a cage and do tricks. Dal nodded slowly. They will watch you now. Watch us. We need to be very careful. Taiho paced the room. Dal, I need to know the truth. If humans were planning something, would you tell me? Dal looked at Taiho for a long moment. His eyes were calm, but his voice was serious when he finally spoke. Let me ask you this instead. If humans were preparing to liberate themselves, would you stand with those who enslaved your ally? Taiho had no answer. For the first time, he realized he might have to choose sides in a conflict much bigger than he had imagined. Taiho couldn't sleep. Dal's question kept running through his mind. Would he stand with the humans or with his own people? He had no answer yet. The next morning, Taiho checked his communication system and found something strange. Someone is listening to my calls, he told Dal. There's a trace program running in the background. Dal wasn't surprised. After your dinner with the governor, I expected this. What do we do? First, we act normal, Dal said. Make some business calls. Talk about me as if I'm just a pet. Give them nothing to be suspicious about. Taiho did as Dal suggested. He made several calls, mentioning casually that his pet human had learned a new trick. All the while, he felt sick inside. He was lying to his own people. That afternoon, Dal took Taiho to the garden where no listening devices could hear them. It's time I told you everything, Dal said. You deserve to know. Taiho sat on a stone bench. I'm listening. Humans have been planning for years, Dal began. When the first humans were taken and sold as pets, we saw an opportunity. Opportunity to be slaves. Dal shook his head. To learn about the galaxy that had shut us out. To place ourselves close to important people. To gather information. So it's true, Taiho said quietly. You are an infiltration force. We prefer to call it a resistance movement, Dal said. Humans across the galaxy are working together, sharing what we learn through secret channels. And you? Taiho asked. Were you placed here specifically? To be bought by me? Dal nodded. Yes, you have connections we need. Access to shipping routes, trade information. Taiho felt betrayed. So our partnership was a lie. You used me. No, Dal said firmly. The partnership is real. But yes, I was sent to find someone like you. Someone who might listen. Someone who might help. Help with what? The truth about Earth is not what you think, Dal said. The hegemony didn't conquer us. They quarantined our entire solar system. They built hidden technology around it that prevents ships from leaving. Why would they do that? Fear, Dal said simply. They found our broadcasts, studied our history. They saw that humans fight wars, that we adapt quickly, that we advance faster than most species. They decided we were too unpredictable to join galactic society. Taiho thought about this. So the pet trade was not approved by the hegemony, just greedy traders who found a way past the quarantine technology. They kidnapped humans to sell, not knowing they were helping us spread throughout the galaxy. Dal looked at the sky. Now we have humans on hundreds of worlds, gathering information, making connections, preparing. Preparing for what? Tahoe asked, afraid of the answer. For freedom. For a place in the galaxy, Dal said. Not as pets. Not as slaves. As equals. Tahoe stood up and walked a few steps away. This was bigger than he had imagined. Much bigger than just helping his business. The governor suspects something, Tahoe said. And that scientist, Yi Jun, they're already watching us. Yes, Dal agreed. And soon they'll do more than watch. They'll act. What will happen to me if they discover I've been helping you? Nothing good, Dal said honestly. That's why I'm telling you everything now. You have a choice to make. Tahoe turned to face the human. What choice? You can turn me in. Tell them everything. You might save yourself. Or you can stand with me. Help the humans. Be on the right side of history. Tahoe looked at his home, at the wealth he had built. Then he looked at Dal, the pet who had become his partner, his friend. What would happen if I helped you? He asked. I don't know exactly, Dal said, but I do know we'd face it together. Tahoe made his decision. I will help you, Tahoe said finally, but we must be careful, very careful. Dal nodded, relief showing on his face. Thank you. We need to prepare. The governor won't wait long to act. They were right. The very next morning, Tahoe received an official message. Governor Hanjay would be conducting a routine inspection of all homes with human pets. The inspection would happen that same day. This is no routine check, Tahoe said, his skin turning pale with worry. They're looking for evidence against us. We need to hide anything suspicious, Dal agreed. And I must play the role of a simple pet again. They worked quickly. Dal erased all traces of his research from the house computers. Tahoe hid the maps and notes they had made. Dal put his shock collar back on, though they left it deactivated. By midday, Governor Hanjay arrived with 4 security officers and the scientist. Yi Jun, they also brought someone else. Another human. This is my pet, Jun, the governor said, pointing to the human male who followed behind him. Jun looked broken. His shoulders were slumped. His eyes were down. He wore a heavy shock collar and moved slowly, like he was afraid. Tahoe, the governor said with a cold smile. We're checking all homes with human pets. For safety reasons, of course. Of course, Tahoe said, trying to sound calm. Feel free to look around. Dal was sitting in the corner of the room. He kept his head down, just like Jun. He looked simple and harmless. The security officers spread through the house. They checked every room, every computer, every storage space. Yi Jun watched it all carefully, making notes on a small device. Your human seems well behaved, Yi Jun said, not like some others we've seen. He does what he's told, Tahoe said. Nothing more. The governor turned to Jun. Show Dal how a good pet behaves. Jun walked to the center of the room. He did a series of simple tricks, standing on one leg, touching his nose, spinning in a circle. His face showed no emotion. The governor smiled proudly. See, proper training is important. Dal did the same tricks when ordered. He looked just as mindless as June. Taiho felt sick watching it, but he knew they had to play along. After 2 hours of searching, the officers found nothing suspicious. The governor seemed disappointed. "Well, it seems your pet is not one of the problematic ones," he said to Taiho. "But we will be watching. Any strange behavior should be reported immediately." "Of course, Governor," Taiho said with a bow. When they finally left, Taiho and Dal waited a full hour before speaking, in case any listening devices had been planted. "That was close," Taiho said at last. "Too close," Dal agreed. "But we learned something important." "What?" "June," Dal said with a small smile. "He's one of our top operatives." Taiho was shocked, but he seemed so broken, so defeated. "An act," Dal explained. "A perfect act. June is deep undercover, working close to the governor himself. No position could be more valuable." "So he was sending you a message with those tricks?" Dal nodded. "Small finger movements. Coded signals. He warned us that the governor is planning a big move against suspected human collaborators." Taiho sat down heavily. "What do we do now?" "We can't stay here," Dal said. "They found nothing today, but they'll be back. With better tools. More thorough searches." "Where would we go?" Taiho asked. "I can't just leave my home, my business." Dal looked at him seriously. "You made your choice in the garden. You chose to help us. Now we must act on that choice." Taiho knew Dal was right. There was no going back now. "When do we leave?" he asked. "Tonight," Dal said. "And we're not just running away. We're going to strike back. Against the governor." Dal nodded. "Against the governor, against the lies, against everything that keeps humans as pets. Are you still with me?" Taiho thought of his comfortable life, his wealth, his position in society. All of it would be gone. But he thought also of Dal, of their partnership, of doing what was right. "I'm with you," he said. Night fell over the city. Taiho and Dal moved silently through the garden. Each carried a small bag with only the most important things. "The security cameras will be on," Taiho whispered. "Not anymore," Dal said, holding up a small device. "This creates a loop in their system. They'll see nothing but an empty garden." They slipped over the wall and into the dark streets. Taiho had never been out this late. The city looked different at night, mysterious and dangerous. "Where are we going?" Taiho asked. "The lower city," Dal said. "Where the poor live, where the authorities don't look too closely." They walked for hours, moving from shadow to shadow. Twice they had to hide from patrol vehicles. By morning, they'd reached the lower city, a place of small, crowded buildings and narrow streets. Dal led the way to an old warehouse. Inside, to Taiho's surprise, were 3 other humans, 2 males and 1 female. "This is Taiho," Dal told them. "He's with us." The humans looked at Taiho with suspicion. One of them, a tall male with dark skin, stepped forward. "I'm Quan," he said. "Why would a Diraxian help us?" "Because it's right," Taiho said simply. "And because Dal is my friend." Quan seemed satisfied with this answer. "Then welcome to the resistance." They gave Taiho food and water. As he ate, Quan explained their situation. "Governor Hanjay has created a special unit to find and capture humans who show intelligence. He calls us a threat to public safety." "How many humans are working together?" Taiho asked. "On this planet, about 30, the female human said. Her name was Sue. Across the galaxy, thousands." Taiho was amazed. "And what is your plan?" Dal and Quan exchanged looks. "We know Hanjay is working with the Hegemony Security Division," Dal explained. "They're planning to identify all humans who might be part of the resistance. But that's not all," Quan added. "Hanjay is making money from this. He sells captured humans to off-world slavers." Taiho's skin darkened with anger. "That's illegal even under Diraxian law." "Exactly," Dell said. And that's our opportunity. If we can prove Hanjay is working with slavers, we can destroy his power. How do we do that? Taiho asked. We hunt him, Dell said. His voice was cold now, just like he's hunting us. Su showed them a map of the governor's palace. We need to get in, find his private records, and get out. That's impossible, Taiho said. The palace has the best security on the planet. Not impossible, Dal smiled. Just difficult. And we have something Hanjay doesn't expect. What's that? You, Dal said. A Diraxian who knows how your people think, how they plan security, what they overlook. Taiho realized Dal was right. The Diraxians were peaceful traders. They didn't think like warriors. They didn't understand how an enemy might attack. Diraxian security is strong against known threats, Taiho said slowly, but they never prepare for the unexpected. For 3 days, they planned their mission. Taiho taught them about Diraxian security systems. Dal and the others shared their skills, how to move silently, how to disable alarms, how to fight if necessary. Taiho was shocked by how much the humans knew about combat. His people had no such skills. Diraxians had been peaceful for thousands of years. Tonight, we move, Dal announced on the 4th day. The governor is hosting a dinner for important officials. Security will be focused on the guests. As darkness fell, they dressed in dark clothes. Dal gave Taiho a small weapon. I hope you won't need to use this, Dal said. But keep it just in case. Taiho looked at the weapon in his hand. A week ago, he was a respected businessman. Now he was a rebel, planning to break into the governor's palace. Are you still with us? Dal asked, seeing his hesitation. Taiho thought of how Hanjay treated humans like animals, how he sold them to slavers, how he had threatened Taiho for helping Dal. I'm with you, Taiho said, putting the weapon in his pocket. Let's hunt. The governor's palace stood tall against the night sky. Lights from the dinner party shone through its many windows. Important Diraxians arrived in expensive vehicles, dressed in their finest clothes. Taiho, Dal, Quan, and Su watched from the shadows across the street. Remember the plan, Dal said quietly. We enter through the service area. Taiho disables the security system. We find the evidence, then leave. No fighting unless we have no choice. They moved silently toward the palace. The service entrance was busy with workers bringing food and drinks for the party. In the confusion, they slipped inside. Taiho led them to a small control room. He used his knowledge of Diraxian systems to freeze the security cameras. We have 20 minutes before they notice, he said. Dal nodded. This way to the governor's private office. They moved through empty hallways, avoiding the few guards. The office was locked, but Quan opened it quickly with tools he carried. Inside, Dal went straight to the computer. Su, help me search the files. Taiho and Quan watched the door. They worked quickly. Su found what they needed first. Here, she said, records of human sales to off-world ships. Dates, prices, everything. And this, Dal added, a message from the Hegemony Security Division. They're planning to gather all human pets for testing next week. The ones who fail will be. He didn't finish. He didn't need to. We have what we came for, Quan said. Let's go. But as they stepped into the hallway, they heard voices. Governor Hanjay was coming, along with several guests. In here, Taiho whispered, pulling them into a small storage room. Through a crack in the door, they saw the governor walk past with scientist Yijun and 3 high-ranking officials. Behind them came Jun, the governor's human pet. My tests show that at least 40% of human pets have intelligence levels far above what we thought, Yijun was saying. They may be communicating with each other. Then we must act quickly, one official said, before they organize. Already arranged, Hanjay replied. Next week, we begin collecting them all for evaluation. The dangerous ones will be dealt with. They passed by, not noticing the four figures hiding in the dark. "We need to warn the others," Sue whispered. They waited until the hallway was clear, then moved quickly toward the exit. But at the last turn, they found two guards blocking their path. "No choice," Dal said. "Taiho, stay back." What happened next shocked Taiho. Dal, Quan, and Sue moved like nothing he had ever seen. They were fast, silent, and precise. In seconds, both guards were unconscious on the floor. "This is why the hegemony fears us," Dal said, seeing Taiho's expression. "Humans evolved as fighters. They escaped the palace and hurried back to their hiding place. There, Dal connected to a hidden communication system. We send the evidence to every news service on the planet," he explained, "and to the central Diraxian government. Han Jay's crimes will be exposed." "Will it be enough?" Taiho asked. "This is just one part of the plan," Quan said. "At this same moment, humans across the galaxy are taking similar actions. The truth about us will be known everywhere at once." Dal nodded. "The revolution begins tonight." 3 days later, Taiho watched the news with Dal and the others. Governor Han Jay had been arrested. The Diraxian central government had ordered all human pets to be released. The hegemony was facing questions from worlds throughout the galaxy. "What happens now?" Taiho asked. "Negotiations," Dal said. "The hegemony can't put us back in cages. Too many people know the truth. Earth will finally have a voice in galactic affairs." "And you?" Taiho asked. "Will you go back to Earth?" Dal smiled. "Not yet. They've asked me to be Earth's first ambassador to Diraxia. I'll need someone who understands both worlds to help me." "Someone like me?" Taiho asked. "Exactly like you," Dal said, putting his hand on Taiho's shoulder. "You bought a pet but found an ally. I came looking for enemies but found a friend." Taiho looked at the human who had changed everything. "I'm glad I chose the right side." "So am I," Dal said. "So am I,"